Good evening, and welcome to the Mingles of Evil Life. Now in English, okay, in English. Thanks for joining me. For those of you who are new, my name is Vanessa Vega, and I'm every Wednesday night, speaking about how we can reach our highest and full potential in life and how to reach wellness, right? I talk about spiritual sciences, okay? And tonight, the topic is a quote that I wrote. It's one of my quotes of my book. Atoms are to the universe what cells are to the body. Now, why do I say this, right? What does Vanessa say this? Well, I'm always speaking here about that. We are part of a far, far larger system that is all one, made of an indivisible and indestructible material, which we all know as energy, in the way of particles of light in a plasma state, okay? Plasma is the universal state of matter. Okay, this universal and divine material is also governed by universal laws, and mathematics, specifically quantum physics and sacred geometry. It is a system within a system in an unending spiral, cycles, okay? These universal laws govern and describe the system's fixed or immutable behavior, meaning that all its particles, molecules, mixtures, compounds, etc., because they all stem from it, they will consistently behave in a patterned way. The intelligence or math codes within them, within these particles and subparticles and mixtures and compounds, will behave in the exact same way, always. Everything in the universe and within this material relates itself by electromagnetic fields and forces. That these fields and forces have negative, neutral, or positive charge to them, right? Which also means that one part is the one that attracts, and the other part is the one that exerts energy, okay? One attracts energy, and the other one attracts and the other one exerts. During my research in the past years, right, it has become extremely evident that the behavior of the quantum particles, and this means quantum particles means particles that are smaller than the atom, right? Like the electrons, the photons, the leptons, the quarks, etc. But also, the atoms this behavior repeats itself in human life and in the human body by way of the cell. And that if we know the behavior, if we study the behavior of the atom and or its quantum particles, will be able to know and predict the behavior of the cell and of mankind or any living microorganism. There are two scientifically proven tests that I want to speak about tonight, or experiments, right? one in the quantum field and physics field, quantum physics field, and the other one in biology that support my quote, right? And the topic of today's video. And the first one that I want to speak about is entanglement in quantum physics. And what is entanglement? Well, our friend and my favorite scientist, Mr. Albert Einstein, together with Podolsky and Rosen, introduced this concept of entanglement back in 1935. It is a bizarre and counteractive phenomenon that explains how two subatomic particles, although it has also been tested, I want to clarify, has also up to date, has been proven with atoms also, can be intimately linked to each other even if separated by billions of light years of space. Despite their vast separation, a change induced in one will affect the other one. Once they have interacted and shared in a same space together. And what was the experiment? Well, the experiment was they took two electrons, okay? And they put them together so that they would meet and mingle up together and know each other. And they observed, right? And then they took one of them and they separated them, and then they took one of them and they shoot that electron. They shooted that electron to the moon, and they let the one, and they maintained that one and the one down here under observation. And they stimulated the one down here so that it would move clockwise, okay? They stimulated it so that it would move clockwise. And while they were stimulating this one, and this one was rotating clockwise, they observed that the other one in the moon was moving counterclockwise, despite the separation, okay? So, proving with this, right, that an entanglement between both had occurred. So that's the quantum physics experiment one that I wanted to bring tonight. And then the second one is the biology, so that we can compare how do atoms or subatomic particles behave in the same way that cells do, right? That is my quote. So experiment number 2 is in biology is parabiosis, okay? Parabiosis. And what is parabiosis? It is the surgical union of two organisms developing a single shared physiological system. Through surgically connecting two animals, it can be proven that a secreted factor in one animal impacts the physiology of a second animal through their shared circulatory system. So, what was the experiment? They took, right, in the University of Berkeley, Stanford, and MIT, they got together and they started to do it on mice, okay? They surgically conjoined two mice side by side. One mice was a young mouse, and young mouse, and the other one was an old one. And what they observed, right, the effect of shared circulatory system of the blood starts to happen once 14 days, 2 weeks have passed by, okay? So once the 2 weeks had passed by, they could observe that the behavior of the old mouse, was becoming younger and more agile and more, his blood had changed, right? His DNA had changed. And vice versa with the young one. The young one had become older in his behavior. And a lot of universities today do this experiment continuously with mice. So I ask you, if you don't see the striking similarity, right, in behaviors of the cells in the blood, specifically of the mice, and the entanglement, right, the entanglement between them, that they copy the behavior once they share a same space together, and the experiment of the not Albert Einstein, but the experiment of entanglement with the quantum particles, where the electrons shared, and once they were separated, they acted in the same way. Okay, they acted counter opposite, but the behavior was affected. Okay, no matter the separation. So I'm always talking about universal laws, right? And the universal laws that I applied to reach to the conclusion that atoms are to the universe what cells are to the body, I used two of them, okay? And the number one that I used was the law of energy or vibration, which is law number 2. That states that every particle in the universe is in constant motion or vibration, constantly transporting energy by waves and traveling in circular patterns. And that's the word that I want to highlight here. In patterns, okay? Circular patterns, repeated patterns, because you know that a circle is never ending, right? In addition, everything has its own specific energy frequency. High energy particles are naturally tuned to other high energy particles, and the same is true for those with low energy. Okay? For example, everything in the world has a vibration. So good feelings, such as love, or a positive attitude would create a higher vibration, whereas negative attitude would produce a lower one, right? Or a slower one. The same with the cell. When coming into contact with other cells, will copy their behavior or vibration. Or we attract one another, right? So the law of correspondence was the other law that I used to understand and reach to my conclusion. As above, so below. And as you know, what happens inside of us, I always say, is reflected outside of us, meaning in our body, physical body, and in our lives, okay? The law of correspondence is directly related to the fundamental law of divine unity. Divine unity means that everything in the universe cannot be separated. Everything is one, okay? The key idea here is that patterns are repeated throughout the universe, and that prominent patterns can also be found repeating on a very small scale. So, and cells are small scales, and also atoms are small scale, because we cannot see them with our naked eye, right? For example, think of the popular example of the spiral patterns that reappears in a large number of places in the galaxy, right? So we know that galaxies are spiral, right? They have the spiral shapes. Planets are orbiting in its axis, like Mother Earth is rotating and translate, right? It translates and it rotates. And so it's round, right? The shapes of the planets are all round. So everything happens in this circular and patterned way. Atoms also. We see a model of an atom, and we're going to see that they're little round particles, right? And the electrons orbiting around, just like a galaxy, like a planet. It looks like a planet. So those patterns and shapes, which have vibration, repeat themselves all across. The cell is also round, okay? And for example, this law states that we are in control of our life. Every action, every decision, behavior we have is a manifestation or reflection of our inner world. If your mind is concentrated on how unhappy you are, you'll continue to have negative energy, which will make you remain unhappy. Also, what happened in the cosmos, right? We can see that during the Big Bang, where particles entangled to form matter, repeats in an analogous way when the cells copy the behavior of other cells, and also as we create relationships in life, we can see this, that we attract to us the same vibration we are vibrating in. In both studies, we can see how both the entanglement between the electrons and the cells is a fact, proving also that atoms and cells behave in the same way. The pattern of behavior is more than evident. If we were to apply this to human entanglement, for example, and perhaps even that I've spoken here about that, past life recognizance, we can explain why we interact with people in life who we definitely feel entangled to, and we don't know why. I say that the fundamental particles of these two individuals, or perhaps 3 or 4 individuals, have shared space before. Okay? Have shared that space before. It is my strong theory and feeling that from a biological aspect, and second, right, as I'm always saying this, second, after addressing the energetic by way of our emotions, okay, that the cure for all illnesses and diseases is in the purification or cleansing of our blood plasma. Why do I say this? Well, because of the undeniable entanglement between the energy effector plasma, because the plasma is the effector, it's the one that has energy in it, and the receptor cell floating in it, and their entanglement. Because we know blood does not exist without plasma, and vice versa, okay? They do have an entanglement. Then, toxification of the blood plasma, as I've explained before, is multifactorial and occurs in this specific order that I'm going to explain to you right now. First of all, blood plasma toxifies itself when we create the perfect environment and electromagnetic charge in it through emotional accumulated charge. Amount of emotional trauma or shadow. And we all have this, okay? We don't have to live extraordinary things in order to have trauma in our life. I repeat this all the time. We all individuals in life have some kind of trauma. We have many. This will directly impact our beliefs and thought patterns. So if our emotional part is not taken care of, our thoughts and our beliefs are not going to be of good quality. And this part, our emotional part, gets, we can say, infected because of our environment. What or who do we surround ourselves with? Or who, right? Or have been exposed to. Like, for example, family, friends, school, college mates, co-worker, partners, etc., 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 okay? Also, since we are all one, and this is a far larger system, our body is part of a far larger system, right? It has cosmos and everything in the universe. Collective vibration is the other thing that toxifies and has to do with the emotionally accumulated charge. Collective vibration meaning by way of our community, cultural beliefs, cultural nationality, society, our social status, the social status that we interact with, and as I said, cosmic, right? Cosmic energy, cosmic vibration, vibration of the planets. Then, after the emotional part, which is the first trigger, then we have ingestion, what we eat, food, the preservatives, the chemicals, the free radicals, right? The drugs, alcohol, smoking, medicines, chemistry in the medicines, and also what we listen to, we ingest, okay? The music we listen to, whatever it is, or the radio we listen to, whatever we listen to also affects the blood plasma. If the vibration of what we're paying attention to with our ears is low, and with our eyes also, what we watch, okay? TV programming, social media, music, news, all these things have vibration in them. And they have an effect in us, whether we see it or not, okay? So, blood plasma also, our plasma in the blood gets toxified also by the environmental factors, meaning water, the water quality, because as we know, our skin is the largest organ in the body. And we take a bath 2 or 3 times sometimes a day, okay? So we're not conscious of this, but water is processed water with fluoride. And whatever we put on our body, on our skin, is going to be absorbed. And that fluoride and chlorine in our water, with time, remember, how many times have we bathed? By the time we are 50, imagine, or 40 or whatever. So imagine all the water that our skin, by weight, just by absorbing, right? But just by absorption. By the time we have this age, what a kind of charge we have given just with this alone. And obviously, it is not only this. As I said, it's also what we eat. It's also the emotional component. So imagine the charge. And then also the air quality and pollution we have in the air. So all these things toxify our blood plasma. And as I always say, the quality of our blood plasma will determine the quality of our health and therefore the quality of our life and our longevity. Because if we are not healthy in all aspects, emotional and also biological aspects, we're not going to have good lives. And we're not going to get to have, because I said in Spanish, and I'm going to say it here, we all are going to grow old, right? But we don't have to grow old feeling sick. It's not congruent. It happens because of this that I'm explaining today. So, what is the benefit of understanding all this that I bring to you tonight? Well, now, for example, now that I've studied the language of energy and can apply universal law and have seen without a doubt that the divine raw material behaves in patterns that continuously repeat themselves, I am able to know how things will behave beforehand, right? And also the reason why things have happened the way they have in the past. It is not divination, it is not sorcery, it is not nothing of those things. It is just by studying universal law and the behavior of energy that I am able to do this, okay? Knowing this empowers us to make changes in our lives that will be highly suited and beneficial for ourselves. Empowers us to heal correctly because we cannot heal what we aren't aware of. Okay? So it gives us a clear vision of our path in life and provides assertiveness in our life. No more are we divinating. I think this is my best decision. No, we are sure of our decisions and actions. And because assertiveness in turn gives us a lot of inner peace, a lot of happiness, and we feel fulfilled because finally at peace when we reach those points of happiness and peace and inner peace within ourselves, this is well-being. This is total well-being. And this is why I invite you today to study energy. And you will see as I have the benefits that it will bring to your life. Okay? So study energy and study it through universal laws. So thank you for joining me tonight, hoping this information has been of benefit to you, asking you to please give it a like and share it so that many others can benefit from it. I thank you for those that are here. Thank you for joining me. And as always, please watch me over on YouTube also, because I'm passing all this information, all these videos are over there. Go and subscribe because soon we're going to be doing content specifically for YouTube, okay? So I thank you very much and see you next week here, sending you love and light as always. Bye-bye. Thank you.